In this video, I'm going to talk about the two types of problems that everyone has and how to approach solving them the right way in the right time frame. You'd be surprised how many people use the wrong time frame to try to solve these two types of problems, and then they wonder why they struggle to move forward. So in this video, I'm going to cover all of it so you know which problem you have and how to deal with it. I'm Cathryn Lavery, founder and CEO of BestSelf, where we create tools to help you think bigger, achieve more, and develop a meaningful life. All right, let's jump into talking about time versus problems. Whether you want to improve your relationship, your business, your health, you have got to pay attention to this strategy. Now, before I talk about the different types of problems, let's first talk about time frames. There are two time frames in which problems can be solved: long-term time or short-term time. Think hours to days as short-term and months, weeks, and even years for long-term. So these are two completely different time scales of what you should be looking at. In graph form, it looks like this. Across the side is short-term time, across the bottom is long-term time, and these are two completely different time scales to solve two completely different problems. So what are these problems? One is a crisis problem. So a crisis should be solved in short-term time, hence why it's called a crisis. So you're thinking hours to maybe days, at most a week. So crisis problem include things like a leaky roof, maybe your website's broken, and you need to fix this urgently. Problem number two is a lifestyle behavior problem, and this is something that should be solved in long-term time, not hours or days or even weeks. An example of a behavioral problem might be, a fear of public speaking, being out of shape, maybe you've lost connection with your partner. These problems need you to change your way of being, and it takes longer than, again, a few hours to a few days. This is something that needs to be done over the long term to really see a difference and actually solve that problem. Now, often people try to solve these two types of problems with the wrong type of time, and then they wonder why they don't get very far. Let me explain. So it's usually one problem that they try to solve quickly, not the other. Crisis problems are pretty obvious that they're a crisis. So let's say my website's broken, it can't do sales, or my roof is leaking. Imagine I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work for 20 minutes every day for the next 3 months until these are fixed. In the meantime, my roof's falling in, I'm not getting sales on my website. The problem is way worse than it is when it started, and that is why we don't try to solve crisis problems over long-term time. But on the other hand, lifestyle behavioral problems are something that often people try to do really quickly. Now, unfortunately, due to impatience and a desire to have things fixed quickly, we often approach behavior lifestyle problems with short-term thinking, and that is a strategy that simply doesn't work. So, for example, have you ever, tried to lose weight and you get on the latest fad diet and you sign up for the gym and you go like 4 days in a row only to give up a few days later because you're frustrated, you haven't got the progress you want, and you've given up because you've tried to solve a bigger problem in a short-term time. Or maybe your relationship is in trouble, you're getting distant from your partner, so you buy flowers, you go out on a date, and everything's great for that one night, and then you go back to the old way of being, and that's what created the trouble in the first place, and you didn't actually solve anything. See, when you try to solve behavior lifestyle problems with short-term time, you don't really get very far and the problem still remain, and you actually think that you did something and you didn't. So if you want to transform your life and become your best self, you have to commit to long-term time and the leverage of consistency. So remember, ordinary things consistently done produce extraordinary results. It sounds boring, but it works. So for example, I just talked about going out on one date instead of actually taking time in your relationship. What would it mean to your relationship if you had 15 minutes of meaningful conversation a day? Or your fear of public speaking, that is a behavioral problem. So what would that do if you went out and did a talk every week, or you did a Facebook Live every week, or you made a point to talk to a stranger every single day? Let's look at health. So what would it mean if you were committed to a 30-minute power walk a day instead of do 2 hours in the gym every single day for a week and then burning out? That is how you want to approach your problems with the right time frame, so that you actually make progress and you don't end up frustrated with nothing fixed. I'd love to hear in the comments where you have mixed up problems by trying to fix them with the wrong time frame. I know I have, but now that you understand the difference between, what problems you're looking at and what time frames, how would you take a different approach if you were to do the same thing over again? What would you approach with short-term time, and what would you do consistently over the long term to solve a problem? If this video is helpful, be sure to subscribe, share with your friends, hit the like button so I know to make more videos like this.